because there's no point worrying about what people think of like the way you play. If the way you play is working and you're getting wins and you're winning, I don't really see a problem with it. Yo, what's good, people? Today I'm actually going to be doing something different. I'm going to be kind of doing a bite-sized version of one of my METAFY sessions that I've just completed. So one of my students, he wanted to learn Kunimitsu after taking like a long break from Tekken. So it's kind of, you know, a fresh start for him with a new character. And, you know, Kunimitsu is one of the characters I do play, so I was kind of lucky. But I'm just gonna kind of quickly go through like what I do on METAFY. So kind of like my sessions are kind of tailored to the person. So I will ask them, well, depending on what kind of session they want. So for example, my student, he got the training plan, which is like a series of lessons. So I will teach you Tekken basics, you know, the mechanics of the game pretty much, defensive mechanics, offensive mechanics, and then you go off. So it's kind of tailored towards what you want. So if you want to learn a specific character, I'll do that for you. So in this instance, he wanted to learn Kunimitsu, so we went through defensive mechanics using Kunimitsu, offensive mechanics using Kunimitsu, and these two sessions are actually live, like a live Discord session. So I'll put my screen on so you can see what I'm doing. And it's kind of just a general conversation, and it's me just giving you my knowledge, because I feel like I'm pretty qualified to give my knowledge at this point. Like I have good general knowledge of the cast, good general knowledge of the game, mind games, you know, tournament strategy, stuff like that. So it was a very good session, and then you will go off, play some games, whatever. I'll come back, watch the VOD a few times, make some notes, and do my final thoughts, and, you know, comment on what I thought you did do well, what you could improve on, and what you should do for the future. So let's get into it. It's funny because in our session we were doing, he was telling me how he was struggling with Jin. So this is like a good example, you know, for me to kind of tell you live what I think about the matchup. So you can see already the spacing. And one thing I said is like, don't be afraid to use Kunimitsu's launchers, because I'm the type of player that will tell you, you know, stuff to abuse, because there's no point worrying about what people think of like the way you play. If the way you play is working and you're getting wins and you're winning, I don't really see a problem with it. Like, you know, people say, oh, don't use this, don't use that because it's scrubby, don't use this, don't use that. But at the end of the day, if your opponent's not punishing it correctly or you're getting away with it, keep using it, you know. I don't see, you see, down for 2. He's not dealing with down for 2. So I think it's good that he recognizes what his opponent can and can't deal with. But I would say in the matchup, Jin is actually weak to sidestepping right. So that's one thing that Justin does need to do a bit more. Sidestepping right, because I'm not seeing a lot of lateral movement. Throw breaking is a thing of where like you kind of just have to go in the lab and practice it yourself. I mean, I can't really help you throw breaking. It's one of the things where you kind of have to do that yourself. In Oki situations, I did tell him that sometimes it's kind of unavoidable. You kind of just have to guess, because that was one of his well, things that he said he's weak on, is kind of dealing with Oki. And it's one of those things where you kind of just have to deal with it. Like, there's certain ways to get up versus certain characters, and I said to him that staying on the floor sometimes is good against, you know, Mishima characters that can constantly you know, expose you to a vortex. So I think he's listened well. I told him to start using 1-1, more strings, 2-4 for example, 4-2 sorry, 1-1, 4-2, really cheap strings from Kunimitsu, 2-2 as well, and he's doing that well. He's playing small Tekken well, you know, forcing the Oki. And I also told him, let me pause it, don't be afraid to force Oki, don't be afraid to force 50-50s, because I think the direction of Tekken 7 is basically mix-up based, and they want you to use 50-50s, they want you to use strings, because they give strings that only have high extensions, mid extensions now. So clearly they want the direction of Tekken to be more mix-up and 50-50 based, just based upon what they are doing to each character and what they're doing to each strings. Look at Anna's string, for example. Down forward 1, 2, 3 is now a launcher. So now it's really difficult to know when to duck downforward 124, because now she has downforward 123 that launches. You know what I mean? So I feel like the direction of the game is 50-50 base. So I said to him, don't be afraid to use your mix-ups. Don't be afraid to use set. Don't be afraid to use grabs. Like, force the mix-up, because at the end of the day, if the opponent is not dealing with it, that's a win. You know, you're gonna get 3 wins. And also, he told me that he was I think he started out on like maybe green ranks or the bottom of yellow ranks, and now he's like approaching orange ranks, and this is only in a week's time, and our training plan was kind of like over like a week's period. So this just goes to show like how much coaching can do for you, you know what I mean? So it's very good to see actually that he's listened to my advice, and you know, he's listened to what I'm telling him. And as I said, look at that, that's a string that I personally would tell a Kunimitsu player kind of not to stay away from using, but he was able to recognize, okay, cool, my opponent is not dealing with it, I'm going to use it. And I think that mindset to Tekken will really improve you as a player, just because you're not like, you can take advice from players like, you know, high level players. If they're telling you not to use something, if they're telling you not to throw out launchers all the time, cool, you can take that advice, but like relate it to your level of play, because I feel like that's really important as well. You need to relate information that you receive and kind of translate that to your level of play, because there's a saying like, you can't bluff a bad poker player, which is kind of true, because like if I'm trying to outsmart you but you're not, like you don't understand the mind game, and I'm trying to mind game you, the mind games are not going to work because you don't understand them, and you don't understand certain options I can do. Like, let's say for example, I'm playing Raven and they don't know the matchup. I'm going to do down back 2 and they don't know anything I can do after down back 2. So sometimes they're not going to respect certain options I might go for when a player does know the matchup and they do know the options. You know what I mean? So it's very, I'm an advocate for just, you know, playing to your level of play kind of thing, like, and use your character's strengths and abuse them until your opponent starts to deal with them, really, because I think that's what is you need that, especially for competitive players. Well, you need that, and it's kind of one of them things where you need to kind of see, okay, cool, my opponent's not dealing with this. Oh, he can't break throws, I'm going to keep grabbing him. He can't deal with random launchers, he's not with punishing me for doing certain things, I'm going to keep doing it. Or he can't you know, he doesn't know the string, he doesn't know how to deal with the string, I'm going to keep doing it. And you can apply that to any level of play. It just depends on who you're playing, what character you're playing, strengths and weaknesses of the player and the character itself, and you're just applying that knowledge. But yeah, that was all, guys. That was a short video, nothing that I usually do, but I think is good, and you know, a bit of self-plug here and there. But yeah, man, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.